good to see you. How are you? Any crack? Do you want a cup of tea?
Yeah, why not?
I'll make tea. Are you filming all this now? Can I want to have a bit of a gossip first, is that alright? So this is Granny's cottage. Now, it didn't look like this when Granny was here, but this has been here for, I'd say 250 years. So an awful lot of rock and roll has happened in this room, like a lot of recording. We recorded in here with Noel Hogan out the Cranberries, like
in here?
Drums.
Before he built the studio?
When we were building that, Shane was in here an awful lot, like, you know.
Did Shane record in here?
Yeah, just had the crack. He had the crack in here, didn't he? So like kind of Cayley house.
Yeah.
I'll show you how it. But this is one of my favourite pictures actually. That's a great two legends. Two of my favourite singers. That was taken at Vicar Street. Joe actually told me that night when he came, and then I'll tell the story off the camera. This autograph here, that's Elvis's band, yeah?
Where did you meet them, John?
That was in Manchester. They were playing, you know, that Elvis show where he comes on the screen. Yeah, it was just like a meet and greet then after, but everyone went up to meet them. It was like meeting the apostles, yeah, as everyone wanted to go, you knew Elvis. You know,
which one was Judas?
Yeah. This when Shane was first down with the Nips, and then he's been down himself then too. It's a stunning, supported them a few years ago. The Frames, we got that on tour with them. We're supporting them in Harrogate. And Van Morrison, we met Van in the Town and Country in Leeds. Waited for about an hour, like, outside to give him like a demo tape.
Yeah.
And I had only a piece of paper, like, and when he came out, he went, the fucking pen doesn't work. Ocean Colour Scene, Steve Craddock came down when we were sporting him a few years ago. So
was that when you wore this Ocean Colour Scene in the Olympia?
No, that was before. That was from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Streets, Mike Skinner. This is Damien Rice. This is an interesting one. I supported Damien Rice about, 18 years ago.
Where was that gig?
That was in Leeds, a place called New Roscoe, and it was me and Sleepy on bass and Helen Turner from Paul Weller's band on piano.
Was that before Cronin were born? That was just
that was just Johnny Cronin. That was just me myself, you know. Paul Gallagher was over with Peter Coughlin and Enda Malloy. They were all on a big session and recording here now.
When did
I think it was that window. He took a picture of that window, so the round window. I think it was that window. So we used that. Michael, Mick, come off that computer. Stop watching that stuff. Come on. Come on down here, Mick, for the crack. Don't leave me alone with these two feckers. Come on. Mick.
We've gone up.
You have to lose some weight.
I hope so.
Yeah, you're looking fit.
I don't know how it's worked. I'll show you. We'll go over here and I'll show you how I've been keeping fit.
Yeah.
Elvis's family came from down the field there near Ballinamuck, and Elvis would come over and cut the turf every summer. So, and then he emigrated to Memphis. Elvis's family did. I'm joking, you see now. We've walked this road all our life. So no, I'll bring you down to the bottom though, because every band that ever comes here, from Shane MacGowan to Liam O'Muinley, the Blizzards to Codeline to David Keenan to the Academic, they've all to Ethan Skelly they've all walked this road. Yeah. And like we were brought up here with my granny, and it's kind of like in old Ireland because a lot of old characters lived around here too. But I remember walking down here with MacGowan one morning at 6 o'clock. We had a bit to drink, and I was asking him the secret, of the how do you write a love song and stuff, and about astral weeks, and there was a bit of a stream coming down here, and he was just saying, that was like the secret, with the rain and stuff to get me, but we were off our head, at the time.
Lockdown has been so strange. We were allowed, as you know, we live in Mullingar. Mullingar's the longest place I've lived in my life.
Well, they're in
three places,
Prison was a bit long.
that felt a bit long. Couldn't come down. We were all keeping the bubble really small, and my mum saw it coming. She's really high risk, and then we couldn't come down. We were stuck for 12 weeks. It's the longest I've never seen my mother.
And it's probably the longest you haven't been in the studio as well.
Oh, crazy. Sure, we had sessions, Twisted Wheel Day, we meant to be coming over and recording.
Yeah.
And there's a few more bands Alan McGee's on about sending over and stuff. But everybody's the same. Everybody in the music industry just, geez, we don't know what the fuck to do.
Why do that?
It's completely fucked.
This is what we've been doing during lockdown. Yeah. So there's normally when people come down and stay, band normally stay in one place, and a producer and engineers normally stay just to keep a bit of
distance, so
they don't get their heads wrecked,
Better showing it when it's done than Jesus Christ. Actually, could you fit? That's good luck.
There's a swallow coming.
That's good luck.
It is a swallow, isn't it? Where's
Yeah.
it starting?
Fucking hell.
It is a swallow. I can get it out.
He's gone.
Just renovate, modernising it all.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep that, because like we can go back to the 1790s and that, so we're gonna keep that real old school,
Yeah.
old cottage, and then just have this as
Fans and producers to stay while they're recording.
Yeah.
We'll have some setup then.
And shoes, you know.
I obviously want to get to know what you have been doing during lockdown music wise. Seen a couple of weeks ago that there was something in the paper about working on a record with Shane McGowan.
We've been doing sessions on and off now for the last
Few years.
5 years, I suppose,
Yeah.
isn't it? Sometimes he wants to do stuff, and sometimes he just wants to have the crack, and then sometimes we get some good work done. And the last session we did, was it like the 10th of March?
Yeah.
Just before.
Just before the lockdown, and like we had planned to do other stuff, he was really going for it.
And have you been chatting to Shane much at all during lockdown, or have you any plans to continue where you left off?
We
before?
did 2 sessions about a month ago. This would have been, when were we allowed to travel? When was that restriction ban that we were allowed to travel? It was like June.
Yeah, was it
Was it start of June or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I'll have to look in my calendar. But it was around, then we had 2 sessions. We went up to Dublin. We had a couple of good days up in Camden Studios.
Gonna play with Shane now.
He's doing some of his favourite songs that he hasn't recorded.
So there'll be new original music from Shane that you're going to be playing with on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've got 14 songs. We've got like enough songs for a record with Shane now. It's just bringing in all the guests like Steve Wickham and Finn Barfury and
Whoever Shane wants, really, you know?
Yeah. And what have been then sort of main challenges for creating music?
Getting together, I suppose, because
scary getting together, isn't it?
you
Who
thought
have you been seeing?
You thought you had it.
Where have you been sleep?
We didn't see each other. It's panic. And then the first 6 weeks were really hard, I thought, because everybody was so scared of what was going to happen and worried about my mum down here. But I was like, there's like 1 week you could be brilliant, up, motivated, get all the gardening done. And then the next week you just be sat around going, what the fuck is going on and what we're going to do, you know?
But do you know what? It felt, when everyone was not working and stuff, there was a bit of a meditation. It was a bit zen, wasn't it? You
very
know,
peaceful
that
around
you were a
that.
bit out of the rat race.
Didn't
that feel beautiful? You
It
know,
did.
that
And
you're out of
the
the rat
community
race.
spirit with your neighbours and stuff
Yeah,
was brilliant.
too.
Well, we were going to go to England with ourselves, you know, we were going on for an
Cronin.
English tour, and then the whole plug and everything got pulled, you know what I mean? I pulled the plug. The English gigs were going ahead. The promoters all wanted them to happen, the venues all wanted them to happen, and I just said I'm not going to England. Because I'd be scared that I won't get back to see my daughter.
But ourselves, we've a new album nearly finished.
So like we had a new album more or less done, and it was meant to be out in September, because we need to promote it, we need to tour.
We're on an
So we
indie
can't do
label,
it.
so we haven't got anyone paying the bills, you know, for recording or PR or mixing or anything. So we've got to hold our wish until we can gig it, when we'll be making money back from gigging.
What's that financial worry like for you?
Oh, worrying. Very, very, very scary, like, you know. Like,
Well, we were making a living
It's just-
until the COVID thing.
we're supposed to be getting married next year too, but it did feel like 1987 when my father left Ireland, you know, for Leeds.
At least with other sessions we had America or England or Europe to go gigging and working, and you know.
Yeah.
But
We've
still
always
went
been
on.
reskilling with music. You've been pulling pints or waitering or out on the building site, or, you know, so with the death of CDs and stuff, sure, you have to learn how to do Spotify. You have to be learning, you're a booking agent when you're getting gigs in. You're on the computers then, you're doing Facebook every day, to get people into your gigs, to get content. Then you're doing the artwork, then you're doing the videos. Like, I'll just do my video now, I'll just produce my song, I'll just book this gig now. So you're reskilling. How many jobs is that, you know, that you're doing?
The EP that you put out, that's the one Paul Gallagher did the artwork on.
Paul, the label that we work with in Hollywood, just saying like, is there anything that we could do or even release? So I just had a laptop and I actually had a hard drive with like stems and stuff.
Yeah.
So then I just started fucking around with that.
Yeah.
And we got 6 new versions, like the remix of Several Perceptions, a few acoustic versions, a few stringy sort of things. Other stuff that was lying around for ages that we didn't do. That's one that Paul did. So that's the cover we asked Paul. That's for the house out there.
Yeah, Johnny showed us that. A view from the next room.
So it worked with the title.
Nice
didn't it?
windows.
So a view from the next room, so it's another look at the songs from a different perspective.
But no one's buying fucking CDs, so it's all Spotify. So you've got to do cups, dishcloths, t-shirts, prints. So you're writing all these dark, deep songs, and then you're going around selling dishcloths. Gigs, you know. So
You know the Bandcamp days. Have you
Yeah.
seen them? They've been helping so much.
like this,
Like we've made
this-
more. You'd make more from one sale on that than you will from like 5,000 streams. We're just trying to stockpile as much material as we can and see what happens.
For a legacy
try and
songs.
plan for like the second half of 21.
Then you know the way you said you had the album more or less done before. Have you been writing much since?
Always
During
since.
it?
I'm
We're starting
always-
next. We're going to try to get another
always
2 maybe done.
Yeah.
So I have them.
2 albums.
I've developed asthma, like, you know, it's great crack on the road now, so that the body is changing. But do you know what the cure for asthma is? Swimming, running, but singing. So when I'm gigging all the time, when I'm gigging 4 times a week, I feel brilliant because, you know, you're exercising. So when you're not gigging, the asthma's getting worse.
Yeah, it's mad to think that from not singing, it actually makes you more vulnerable to the fucking coronavirus.
You know, I've been wearing a mask for 4 months. I've been wearing a mask, but the mask is
My
bad
mum
for
made
your
us do
asthma
that, you
because
know.
you can't breathe. With you know, with the mask, if you put perspex in front of the,
Oh, man,
you know, we can gig and the speakers out. Yeah.
Is that not like, you know, putting a beautiful wild animal in a cage? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, big. Andrew Lloyd Webber says, how come you can go on a plane with a mask but you can't go into a Western theatre? I'm just worried, really worried about the arts, and you know, we need more TDs talking about the arts and stuff, because they always come out on holidays or when something big is on, you know, it's always a poem or a dance or trad music, or you know, we need to look after them, you know. Stuff does change. I hope we're not going through a transition. Do you remember when there was bands in pubs?
We're 6 months into this now and no one knows what's going to happen.
No, we were gigging all the time and just miss it.
What will Cronin be doing in
Working hard, doing up the studio, getting everything ready, building work during the day, trying to get songs done at night time.
Yeah.
Trying to get back on the road, you know, get married and have a family and write more songs too, you know, and just. But we'll get by through this, you know.
Yeah. Yes, I
It's
suppose
been great crack, hasn't it?
It has been good crack, as always. Here is the latest. Mick, what is it? It's not a single you're releasing, it's just... Or is it?
It's a new video, just a new video, There's Darkness.
Yeah. Right, that was Johnny and Mick Cronin. This is the new video from Cronin called There's a Darkness.
There is a darkness that comes when you're not near. How did you know that you would find me here in the sunshine? Drink my moonshine, but there's a darkness. Do you see it? Can you feel it? All around, turn my darkness into light. All around, turn my day into night. I don't need no black dark to get me home.
Ready, baby? We're out at Loch Ennell here. No, we're actually at Loch Ool, I got it wrong. To interview Niall Breslin, more commonly known as Bressie. And we're going to talk to him about the music industry and how he's been spending his time during lockdown. Do you like fish?
Don't mind them now.
Are they trout?
Yeah.
Would you eat them?
Yeah, I wouldn't. But they say you'd eat anything, so.
No, sure, vegetarians don't eat trout. They don't, that's pescatarians.
There's that as well. You've got a lovely walk down there. Easier for you. Yeah, you would.
Yeah. Right.
It's slippy enough now.
I was only looking at a thing about frogs there on the way down. Do you like frogs, Brez?
I don't mind them. I like most things.
Do you know what they should bring back though? Fat frogs.
The ice
no,
pop.
the ice pop.
They're fucking savage.
They were unreal. HP did away with them. Tell me a bit about. I'm gonna knock this off. You've been very busy during lockdown.
I have. Came home to Mullingar.
Yeah, I want to know everything about what you were doing.
Well, I came home about 19 weeks ago. My immediate instinct was like, my parents. I had just went to buy a house just before the start of lockdown, and that got pulled. So I have nowhere to live. So my parents think I'm here cocooning them, but actually, I just have nowhere else to go.
Oh yeah.
I kind of knew at that point, I just signed Spotify, that the podcast stuff was going to get really, really busy. So I was putting out huge levels of content, and I was like, how am I going to do this? So I basically built the studio in my old bedroom and fucked in 5 mattresses, acoustically treated. For somebody who owns a recording studio, it was like, it felt a bit like I was cheating on it, but I put it in, and that was it. Started, and that is literally where I have done every piece of content. And from 6-part series to the weekly podcast and Where's My Mind to the Wake Up Wind Downs, which is 2 pieces a day. That has all been on in that room.
Good stuff. And tell me then a bit about the podcast then, because it seems to be getting more popular as the weeks are passing on. Is it like...
It's because of the content. I think people realise the one big thing from this pandemic is people have become quite overwhelmed. They've started to realise maybe they were moving too fast. Their heads were a bit melted with the whole thing, and it's to take the fear factor away from the mind. People are fucking terrified of the mind. They're terrified of even looking into it or what it does. We looked at all aspects of you know, how the media manipulate us. This isn't conspiracy stuff.
No,
so the mind is easily malleable. The mind is easy to it's much easier for me to make you feel fucking worthless than it is for me to make you feel good.
And similar to the way you set up your podcast, like I find myself getting so overwhelmed with the amount of information, with the amount of marketing, with the amount of consumerism being thrown at me every day. Where do people get away from that? Is it meditation? Is it being out with nature?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you have a choice. You do have a choice, and it's like, so you look at the way we're looking at the world at the moment. We're looking at the world in portrait mode. That's how I look at it. We're very centred in on something that this size in our hands.
Yeah.
What we need to learn to do is to look at the world with a panoramic view. Look at that. Like, I'm not just talking about nature, but actually there's so much we're missing that's just flying past us that is actually the important stuff. Your family, your loved ones, nature, music. These are the things that matter, but we are fucking submerged. And it's not a lecture on technology, because I'm submerged in it as well. And at the end of the day, mental health and emotional well-being, a lot of it is the narrative and story you tell yourself every day. So if the story you tell yourself internally all the time is that I'm worthless, or I'm not good enough, or I should be better, or I should be as good as this guy, or I should be as ripped as that girl. Yeah. If that's your constant narrative, you're going to feel bad. Yeah. And so for me if that's all I'm trying to change, and Where's My Mind, is to say to people, I haven't got this shit figured out. It fucks me up too. Yeah. But I'm aware of it now. And you know how to get it. So when I feel fucked up, I can guarantee it. I can put my finger on why. Yeah.
So Bressie swam 3.5 kilometres over there a minute ago, and he told me he wasn't that good of a swimmer.
No, I didn't.
Whereas I had to be pulled out of Mullingar swimming pool that is only about 2 metres high. Michael Phelps.
No, once the fucking place comes.
Nah, it's your man, Boatman Jack.
Is it?
Yeah.
How would you know that?
Because I got a boat off him a couple of times.
Well, if I'm being perfectly honest, Ethan Scally saying the words I'm going to say, ask you 10 random questions, is one of the most terrifying things I've ever heard.
I don't know what I'm going to ask you yet.
I know, but it's such a strange time for any band, because, you know, like, the one thing bands can do now is put out music and record music, but then bands can't make money to record that music to go into the studio.
It.
So obviously I own a recording studio in Camden, and I'm like, I wish if we could get a fund together that could get bands to go in and actually record music. You're not with a label. The only way you can actually record music is to play live, to get the budget, to get into studios. So you're constantly just reinvesting whatever money you might make.
I know.
So I'd love to work out a way of finding a way so artists can sustain creative output, and crews can find a way to get through this fucking shit show, and that they'll be there, because this is the reality, Scala, and it's not hyperbole, I'm not being dramatic. We will not have an industry. We genuinely won't. People saw that Sam Fender gig. We're like,
that's what I was going to ask you
that
about
be amazing?
next.
No, it won't happen. And I'm not being negative. People are saying I'm telling people straight up, the first Oxygen in Ireland, the second Oxygen, 10% of the crew there were Irish. We had to bring in 90% British crew because we didn't have the crew. Now most of every festival you go to in Ireland is Irish crew, because we have brilliant crew. They've trained themselves up. They have brilliant companies. They're all being repossessed. Their gear's been taken off them. Fuck. That's gone. Like, and nobody's looking for free money or save us. But what we're looking for politicians to do is to understand that this industry is a lot different to other industries. Yeah. And that gig we saw at Sam Fender, unless you have a massive sponsor on board, that is a loss-making show every time. No promoter's going to put on a show like that. Like, some girl rang me, she goes, it's a disgrace, Ireland should be doing that. There's 6 to 8 month lead-ins in those, and the reason that gig went ahead is probably the council were like, let's make this work. Whereas the Dublin City Council for Gavin James' gig was like, let's not make this work. That was their first port of call. If you don't have the crew to do it, and Brexit kicks in, We can't bring the crew over from the UK because they'll have to get fucking visas.
Yeah.
The industry is on its knees properly. And then Kim O'Callaghan, who, you know, grew up around the corner from me in Ballinderry, she rang me one day and was like, do you want to start selling some merchandise, like, for crew? I was like, yeah, let's start it. Like, I said, but it's not going to save the world, but what it'll do is get into people's attention that this is what's happening. But it was never about making money for that. It was about using it as a focal point to highlight what's going on. And then the Epic group got set up, and MEAI and all these groups got set up. Every industry's looking for support. We get that. It's not about, you know, come over here and fix it. Everybody, every one of them wants to work. Every one of us want to work. We do it in the morning, and the most efficiently run industry I have ever worked in. Not one of those industry crew will go back until it's safe. But there's this perception at a political level that gigs are like fucking Spinal Tap and lads are like ripping the heads off each other, and it is economically incredibly powerful as well. For every euro you spend on a show, you're putting 6 back into the economy. Like, it's a no-brainer. For example, when Gavin James wanted to do the drive-through gigs, get crew back to work, that was put on the call. He sold them all out. Everybody was mad for it. And then Dublin City, like, the councils just went, no, pulling it. Yet they were allowed bingo, they were allowed drive-through, they were allowed everything else, because their perception of the music industry is that perception of people falling around the place, puking on each other, beating the heads off each other at gigs. Well contained and well run by brilliant people.
They are.
And I just think that's what happened. They were like, oh my God, music show, we got to cancel this. At the end of the day, nobody wants to fight here. It's not this is tough stuff. There's a pandemic. I have sympathy for people, you know, in decision-making jobs that have 50,000 different people looking for stuff off them. But this, all we say is that it's really important to understand how we work and how the industry works, and how genuinely, sincerely, at the end of its tether, this really is. And banks repossessing businesses, and these are banks that we own quite a chunk of. That just bewilders me. Why, when you know this business is a viable business, has been a viable business, and the only reason it's not a viable business right now is because there's a fucking pandemic. It's not because they're bad businessmen or women. It's because they can't work, and you're repossessing them. That money will come back. That company will survive if you just give them a fucking break. We will find ways to navigate and to change. If we have to change how the business works, we will find a way to do that. The industry will. It's not going to happen overnight. So stop repossessing SMEs. Because there isn't many of them here, and they're gone. A lot of them, they're gone, and they're going to other industries. I know one industry, he does all the electrical contracting for all the major festivals, all those generators that you see. He has had to let all the staff go, and they're all working in now a major multinational now. They're highly skilled people you will not get back.
If intellectual conversation doesn't work with, you know, pillars of the government, then you're going to have to fight then.
Absolutely, but it's not. But the thing about it is, it's not your first port of call. No one wants to make trouble, but they need people to understand that this is serious stuff. And you know, the reality being, we were the first industry out. We'll be the last industry back. The only way we'll get through this, and whatever way that collectiveness looks like. The music industry is not the artist, it's part of the industry. The music industry is many, many layers, and we have to look at it like that. They need to work together, find a way to work together, and it's not that simple to do that, because, you know, there's a lot of people in it. But for us, I just said to Kim, and I said to the rest of them, and Shane and all the guys, like, I don't know what I can do, but I'll do it. You know, I'm happy to speak about it, I'm happy to sit down with any politician and with you guys and figure out a way out of this, because that's, at the end of the day, what we need to find, a way of sustaining this industry till it's able to get back on its feet again, and we still have our highly skilled workforce there. And it's like, I remember, to me, people are all going about the picnic, but I remember thinking, fuck me, the FLA, because I remember how big a deal it was to get the FLA. But the reality is, the FLA will go ahead in 2021, but will we have the industry to actually sustain it? And all I want to do is help find a way to just get us through it, so it's there when we get out of it, and then we can have the best festival season, literally, of all time. That's optimism, but it's reality too. My sincere fear is that even if this pain in the whole virus pisses off, what's going to be left to run these shows? It's not going to be Codeline or, you know, the Coronas or any of the lads rocking up themselves to go, let's set up some stuff here, lads. Like, it's an army of people, and honestly, I do not think our politicians have a clue about the industry. I don't think they have a clue. I don't think they're bad people. I don't think they're making decisions to actively fuck up the industry. I just don't think they understand it, and I think they don't seem to really want to, and they seem to forget that the arts is not just the artist.
Yeah.
The artist is, what's the artist going to do? Just put out music for the rest of their life and not gig? First to arrive, last to leave. That's the crew.
Yeah, well, we hope it gets the support, because if it doesn't, it's strange to fathom what will be left. Yeah, that's it.
Can't jump
We're
in.
done. Niall
Nice one.
Breslin, thank you very much, buddy.
Pleasure, bud. Nice one.
Nice one. Right, we're in Cavan now.
Cavan?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
And we're going to see the one and only Josh McClorey.
And the amount of butterflies here,
Yeah,
just like 6 of them.
it's a cool spot.
Yeah, it's nice. Folks did it up over the COVID.
Did they? This is
Yeah.
only kind of newly done, is it?
Yeah, well, the gardening, yeah, it's only the last sort of year or two.
And what's the vibe, Josh, of the newer stuff? Because I know you had that gig in you had that gig in Whelan's.
Yeah.
Upstairs, was it upstairs? Yeah.
Yeah, it was last year. Yeah.
Couldn't make it, but I was thinking to myself, Asher, Josh is going to have a good few more gigs anyway. But then you kind of paused it to kind of shape the sound of it again, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I did one last year in Cavan, just to kind of do a gig.
Yeah,
do you know,
yeah,
just
yeah.
to kind of sort of move into the next phase of it, because I think like you can sit with projects and all that for a really long time, test it in front of people. It sort of gave me a lot more perspective on actually what I want. I guess being in the middle as well, like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like that's a thing I never even considered until before the gig. I was like, oh fuck, you're not standing there anymore, like you're here.
Yeah.
Do you know? So like getting used to that was great, but once I'd done the 2 gigs, I kind of just realised I wanted to really take my time and really get a good band and get a good group of people around me. So it's kind of been that, and then I'd planned on obviously doing loads of gigs this year, but
Yeah.
obviously with the crack it's not possible. There's some hip hop influence in it. Obviously Prince is a big influence on it.
Yeah.
I mean, but then still all the same things. Like I'm still really influenced by like Costello and like Alex Turner and all those guys
Yeah,
as well. You know, playing the sort of first 5 or 6 tracks that I plan on releasing to people, and like this is really cool, but like where's the guitars?
Yeah,
So I had to go back and put more guitars on it, because it sort of.
I was thinking, Josh's solo stuff, there's going to be fucking mad guitar in it. I was like, I can't wait to hear some of the solos on this.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to expect it to be a certain way.
Yeah.
They expect it to be quite heavy. It's not heavy at all. It's like the first track is there's no drums, it's just a piano based like sort of ballady tune.
Yeah.
There's bits of guitar and stuff, but
Are you on this new kind of path because you've outgrown the rock and roll, do you think, or you're just in a different phase?
yeah, no, I don't think it's anything I don't think I could outgrow it. It's still all I listen to, you know, like I find myself listening to the same 7 or 8 bands all the time anyway, you know, and it's all rock and roll stuff and blues. And but when I was writing and writing for Ross, the singer in the Stripes, you know, he's a fucking phenomenal singer, but it's difficult to get exactly what you want to say, to, you know, get someone else to sing that. It's very hard, you know, and especially when it means something to you or whatever. Well, at least that's what I found. So it's been really good this time around now, like just writing songs in my own voice, trying to find my own voice as well, and definitely nervous about it, and I think it's good that I'm nervous about it. I think if I wasn't nervous about it, I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think it was quite scary when the band broke up. Thankfully I had JC, like I went straight into that. I did the first gig I did with JC was the morning after we broke up.
Did the boys look at that and maybe think, Josh already had that kind of in the pipeline or anything?
Nah, I mean, I think the thing was, like, we kind of knew we were going to break up for quite a while. It took like 6 months where we didn't do anything at all. I think we did 1 gig. And then the film came up, then Rocket Man came up, and we ended up doing that, and that was the last thing we did.
An Elton John film.
Yeah.
And were you in that, or you were in it,
so
weren't you?
We got to do a song for it. Yeah, we're in a couple of scenes. We're like Elton's previous band before he became Elton John. Which was hilarious that we were all like doing the last thing that we ever did together was like being in a band before a solo artist, and I was like, well, we're all gonna have to go off and do shit. But the more I look back on it, the more it is just a relationship. Like, it's like breaking up with somebody. It is. Yeah, it just had run its course, and we individually we all went through periods and, you know, not wanting to do it anymore, and you know, musically we wanted different things, and individually I think we're very different people. It was quite a quick you know, at the start, it just got quite big quite quick, and we were quite young. I think when I was like 16, and I'm kind of, you know, it was all well and good until you get to like 18 or 19, and you're like, I don't even know who I fucking am. I already exist publicly in this is what people expect me to be, and then I don't know what the fuck's going on individually. Like I said, that we've been friends for years, and you know, it's like all our parents were friends. It's been interesting talking to people about it, you know. I haven't really spoken too much about it, but like it was 8 years. The 8 years it was when I was 14 to, you know, or 15 to now. If I'm making music that's honest and I'm being myself, that's the thing for me. And I've been getting this feeling recently, and probably since I met this new group of lads, like making music when I was a kid in your room, and you're just there's nothing beyond the fact that you're just making it. No, like it has to go on this thing or it's going to be heard here. Creating something that's just for you, but also affected me positively because I'm kind of actually being myself. But again, I think that's because I was 16 and I was in a fucking band, you know, a big band. You know, like I started lockdown like superhuman, like getting up at 7 a.m. I was like learning piano, like running and cooking and just like on top form. And then 2 or 3 weeks in, and you start to kind of relax a bit, and then you know, and then I found it very easy to get myself in a rut for a week or two with it, because you're kind of, there's no ending in sight yet, you know what I mean? And so it's sort of hard to keep the levels up. But I've gone through periods of really good periods of creativity and writing. I mean, I think pretty much have an album together now. Yeah. I've got 5 or 6 singles that will come out.
And are you permanently based in London now?
Yeah, well, I mean,
obviously.
Other than this, I'm living in fucking, you know, Terry Jones from Monty Python? Weirdly living in his house. Basically, I came back here in March on my brother's 21st and it was pre-lockdown, but that weekend then was when it started getting really bad. So I was like, I'll just stay here for a couple of weeks, and then I've still been here. But I went over in June to move from our old house into this new place. It's just difficult with timings because you know, you have to come back here, and then obviously I have to quarantine for 2 weeks when I'm back here. Really, I've just been kind of, if I've been making music, I've been kind of making it on my own, just in the shed here. And then I've been working with a couple of other people. I met Mark from Codeline. Me and him have been doing quite a bit of writing. I haven't really liked it. The week gone by there was the first thing I've actually done with a group of people. Was that live video shoot in Johnny and Mick's place. It's amazing how the power it holds, like playing music. To feel like the emotions that you get from it, or the kind of endorphins that you release, or whatever the fuck it is. Like, I didn't realise how much I missed it until only really recently, and I was like, this is the longest I've gone without playing a gig since I was 12. So getting back and doing stuff again, I was almost like I didn't even realise how much I'd missed it. It makes me feel really normal playing music with a group of people or playing in front of people. Like, even though I said earlier I am a little nervous about it, but it's the most normal thing in the world. You know?
It's part of your identity though, isn't it? Now that's gone, so it does. There's so much power in it, and it gives you so much purpose.
Weirdly, it's grounding. Like, it's a pretty good high. Like, you know, there's been some real positives out of it for me, and a lot of it is like sort of self-rediscovery again, you know, and like to then have all that sort of noise taken away, to come back to here and sort of wake up after 6 weeks of doing nothing and go, well, now what's the thing I want to do? Do you know? And thankfully it's still music. Being a musician, and especially being in the middle now, or it being about me, it's sort of, there's all this other stuff that goes around it that we have to do as part of our job. And I don't think a lot of people realise that, but like constantly being on social media or travelling or whatever it is, and like the Charlie Watts thing, you know, most of your time is spent doing things that aren't music. And so now to have none of that, the only thing that's keeps popping its head back up is music again. You know, it's like, you know, that's the only part of it I actually really love, is playing, and the rest of it is just part of a job.
I love when you're writing it and you can feel it all coming together, and you know this is going to be something good. So I've been doing a lot of writing with a couple of lads in Mullingar. even if it's not towards an end goal or an album or you feel like you're making it just even as part of your own development creatively. And if you never do anything with the songs, that at least you've made them.
Is what it's like what you were sort of saying earlier on. Like everybody, I guess we're living in a world right now where it does feel like everybody has an agenda, and that it feels quite forceful, everyone's agenda. So to kind of do something that isn't trying to be anything, you're just creating something for the purpose of creating something. It's quite innocent and quite, you know, like it's very pure.
Agendaless. Is that an actual English word?
I don't know. That's probably some Calvinism there.
During lockdown, you put up the cover of Across the Universe.
Yeah. I was just in a band for like 8 years who everyone was like, they look like the Beatles. It's like the first thing I do after it is put out a Beatle cover. Like, but
it was April time, wasn't it? It was kind of when the lockdown, you knew it was kind of going to be pretty serious.
Yeah. I was quite upset, and I came down here one evening and where the sky just went really perfectly pink. But there's a lake just down the bottom of the hill there, and I was walking down there, and whatever way the fucking sun, it just like the sunset was just like being reflected on the lake, and it just looked amazing. And then all this shit's going on, and like, you know, in life anyway, I think it's hard and it's noisy. And one of my friends is like, if you're ever freaking out or shit's busy, he's like, just go outside and just listen to the birds for a minute, like. And then I just kind of wanted to put that tune up. It was really nice to do something like that, because we really have to check out if agendaless is a word. It felt very agendaless.
Paul Weller brought out his album On Sunset. You were on, was it the one track on that, or was it two?
Yeah, one track. More, track 5. He's been great, man. He was very helpful when we were splitting up, because he was obviously in that position himself where he had to leave the jam, and like he was very encouraging and helpful to just be like, again, like coming at it from the angle of like, you have to just do what makes you happy, and you have to do what's right for you, and you kind of, the rest of it you have to just push aside whatever you're thinking might happen or might not happen. He's like, so yeah. But then with the record, I just, because I was in London at the time, I just got the train down to the studio. It's got a place in Surrey, and just spent the day down there and just put a couple of guitars down, and then just got the train home. It was like, it's quite a chill thing, but it's a great buzz, because to sort of been a part of something like that is really lovely. And you know, it's a different type of enjoyment. Yeah, when you're doing something for somebody else, it's I can almost take more pride in that than when it's my own thing. Like,
why?
I don't know. I've never been able to figure it out, but like, there's a kind of a nice detachment from doing stuff for other people. I don't feel like as much of a wanker listening to the Waller track than listening to my own. Do you know what I mean?
Would you listen to your own music on your own more than you would like showing people?
No, I don't like put it on. Like, you know what I mean? I know Childish Gambino has that joke about it on his stand-up where he's like, you know, why should I feel weird about listening to my own music? Like, if I made a sandwich, I'd eat that sandwich and enjoy the fuck out of it. Like, that's not weird. But if I make a song and then listen to that song, somehow then I'm a prick. You know what I mean? It's like, it's funny though.
Because I found when I started recording music, listening to it back or showing anyone, I would be, you know, have that guilt, or be like, oh no, turn that off. But during the whole process, if it's something good, I really enjoy listening to it and seeing how it develops and thinking, oh this is good, this is going somewhere, and I take real enjoyment out of listening to that. But then once it's done, I kind of like,
it's done then.
It's done.
What it means to me anyway, whenever it's my own music, is like, it's the whole process of like having an idea in your bedroom, and then that couple of weeks or whatever it is of ideas floating around your head for lyrics or like melodies or something, and then there's the whole process of actually physically putting it down and creating it. And you know, so by the time I'm sitting in the car playing a song to my friend that, you know, is my tune, I've had this whole journey with the song, so it just means so much. Whereas like my mate's just like, can you turn that down a bit?
What's next on the horizon then, Josh?
Yeah, we're gonna put the single out, and then we've got this live video that we shot there on Friday, and then hopefully like one every sort of 6 to 8 weeks or something like that, and then start working on the album really. So, but again, I suppose because we're in the situation where we don't know when we're going to be able to do gigs again, it's hard to plan. I mean, it's impossible to do it conventionally in the way that I'm used to releasing stuff. You put something out and then you go and tour it, you know, and like.
How are you gonna do that if we don't know when gigs are coming back? You know, because what do we keep doing? Do you keep putting out singles and then you've everything gone out there, and then it comes back to gigging if it does come back in the way we know it, and you've everything already out there?
Sorry, yeah. It's hard to know, isn't it?
Isn't it?
You know, trying to let myself feel, you know, that it's hard at the minute. It is fucking hard. It's hard for everybody, but I think again the one thing that's come true is like I have to make music, and I have to put it out. And so, like, if there's no gigs for 4 years, I can't not release music. We are incredibly good at adapting. That's what we're going to have to do. It's what we've always done.
If gigs are going to be shut down, most of the money that is made is from gigs. So I'm really worried for all the artists in the industry to think, how are they going to make music? And are we going to lose so many musicians because they can't survive?
I just think mentally, it's the biggest issue, like as in not playing gigs. It is tough on your head, like it is, if you're used to doing it all the time, you know. So I worry more about people's state of mind and happiness. But like you said, the live industry is everything financially for musicians. Whatever it is about music, it always seems to be, the arts in general, it always seems to be kind of left to last. And
we're the first to finish and we'll be the last back in. Something that is embedded in my head that you're after saying is I signed up for it.
Yeah,
you know, it's part of the journey, isn't it?
Yeah, you gotta go with it. And like, you know, it's what is it, give a man a guitar and he'd be broke for a week. Teach a man how to play a guitar and he'd be broke for life. It's not a stable job financially, especially. It's not a stable job. It's not normal hours, you know. It's not, you don't go into the office every day and have your lunch at 1 and your dinner at 5 or whatever. Like, maybe that's why I do it, because I can't do the other thing. It's definitely quite an up and down thing. I don't know why you'd want to do anything else that's not like that. It's the biggest thing I've gotten from this lockdown, other than being slightly better at cooking now.
Yeah.
Like I said, I signed up for it. I have to be able to have a good relationship with the fact that that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. I think that's a pretty good note to end it on, man.
No worries.
Josh McClorey in County Cavan, thank you very much for your time, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Yes, nice one, bud.